In a top story, we're joined by Mark Schulman, author of Tel Aviv Diary and Newsweek columnist in Tel Aviv with us here. Mark, good to have you again on the story that obviously won't leave us alone for now. It's not the first time, obviously, that we've seen the threat or specter of a large strike called off at seemingly the last moment with an announcement that a major deal is imminent. I'm talking about from President Trump, but is it having any effect, Mark? What's happening? I cringe at sounding skeptical towards the president's efforts here. Obviously, this is a fight we all have a lot of stake in. What's it doing right now, what are president's moves?
I mean, look, I don't think we can be anything but skeptical. I mean, this has been a replay again and again and again, and the Iranians have been pretty straightforward. They're not going to agree to anything. There's been no sign during this whole period since April that the Iranians have moved from their basic position that they're going to control the Straits, and they're not willing to even discuss the nuclear program. So there's no reason to think anything has changed. The only thing that happened was President Trump was convinced by the Saudis and others that a military action would be useless at this point. I mean, that's the reality. He was pressured, he got money, who knows what the reasoning was. But we've been through this time and time and time again. I mean, speaking as an Israeli, it's driving everybody crazy. There's absolutely no question about it. The psychological impact of time and time again, wondering whether we're about to go to war or not go to war, going to sleep at night. Sure, we're going to be woken up in the middle of the night by sirens and going to the shelters. And then, of course, not happening again and again, which is the good side of it. People canceling their vacations, not knowing what to do, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a terrible toll beyond everything else that we've been through these last 3 years. And, it's worked well to manipulate the oil markets fairly well. Those people who paid $100,000 to get a early tweet or a copy of Truth Social, I'm sure made some money last night on the stock market futures, betting on it. But this is an absurdity. Now, again, I was not in favor of the attack because I wasn't sure what was going to be accomplished by the attack, and that's the bottom line question.
That is the big question, right? What would be the goal? Of yet another sort of round of escalation, right?
Right. What are we going to gain by doing that? On the other hand, the Iranians think they won the last war, and and they're acting as if they won. Their threats, of course, are ridiculous. They're going to wipe out this. They're going to wipe out that. It's not going to happen, but they can cause a lot of havoc. There's no question about it. There's no question that the United States and Israel don't have as many interceptors as we'd like. I think Israel is building up quickly, but it's going to take the United States years to rebuild its arsenal. That's one of the biggest problems here. Again, we go back and forth. The Iranians won this war. That's the reality. It was a war that the second war. The first war was very successful. The second one was a poorly designed plan that didn't work. And sometimes you got to cut your losses instead of digging down again and doubling down. That's what's been going on. It's a terrible situation. Don't get me wrong. I mean, being stuck in this situation is terrible.
Right.
We don't have leadership that, a different president would be able to go to the Europeans, would be able to go to the American people and say, look, maybe I made a mistake in getting into this war to begin with, but we can't leave a situation where the Iranians control the Straits of Hormuz. I think they won the war, and gain American public support and gain European support. But that's not Donald Trump. He can't do that.
No, at this point,
and that's part of the problem.
The alternatives aren't clear either. The exit door isn't exactly have a flashing light on it for the president.
No, it's a very dark light, unfortunately. And we need to hunker down, which is part of the problem.
Mark
and we
Schulman.
need to get people who didn't bring us here to get us out somehow.
Well, we'll stay tuned for what options appear on the table. Of course, I guess in this moment, well put, Mark. This is a moment we're not sure where we go next. Mark Schulman, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Bringing the conversation in studio, our